upon women's issues and getting women well. So we're going to be talking about women's issues. So I want to sit back and listen to both of you interact and talk about the different things that you touch upon when you're dealing with women.
Well, you've got something coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
Next weekend.
Next weekend?
Yeah, the Women's Conference. And one of the topics that I'm getting an email almost daily on this one particular area, and it's on feeling abandoned and rejected. And, you know, gosh, behind that is a lot of fear. We're afraid that somebody's not going to love us. I get emails saying, you know, I'm afraid somebody's going to leave me if I let them love me or something. And I think everybody to a degree has that issue. And so that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about that at the conference. But I did this at a Hayward meeting on Tuesday. And there were two ladies that were always shy. They never said nothing to anybody. They were real quiet. After the meeting, I was talking to a lady, and she goes, Linda, you'll never guess what happened. These two ladies were talking like I've never heard them before because they were no longer afraid of being rejected. Just from that teaching. So they were able to speak their heart. They were able to join in the conversation. They're not cowering down. I think people who are really shy, it's because they don't want to be rejected. They don't say, it's not just they're shy, they just don't want to, what they say, be rejected, because that's a dampening on their spirit.
Do you think, Linda, that sometimes that was the way that they, because I was raised, children were seen, not heard.
That's right.
And
there's a fear instilled in there.
Yes, and as you go through the years and you become an adult and an old caca like myself, you sometimes you're afraid to speak out because you think, well, people are going to find that that's totally off the wall, or that I don't bring anything to the table or whatever. So I think sometimes you have to understand the personality and the background of the personality that has molded this person.
Yeah, I think the fear may stem from something different with different people. Yes. I remember I was always afraid to be wrong.
Yeah.
There was something about being smart that was really important in my family.
And I think that goes with a lot of people.
You know, if I said something or asked a question, I was always afraid that I would be seen as stupid, or that it was, you know, it was dumb and hence rejected, right?
Yes, that's right.
The other thing is, I remember, especially in my first marriage, I was very shy, and I didn't know how to talk about actual issues that I had with my husband. They weren't big issues, but we never talked about them, and therefore they became big issues. And that was an issue. Again, I was afraid to speak up because I was afraid. And thankfully I've become a little bit better at that, but I think that's true with a lot of women.
Yeah, I think that being stymied, you're hurting yourself. It's toxic, because whether it's important or not to the other person, it's important to you. And I was listening to Don Imus the other day, and he was saying it's okay to say, I don't know, because everybody feels that they have to interject something for the fear of looking uneducated.
But you look sometimes even worse if you try to respond.
Because you can say, I really don't know. Now, I can speculate and say A, B, and C, but to be honest with you, I don't know.
Right.
And that's okay, because that shows that you are not only mature enough, but you're intelligent enough to say, you know, you're looking at the wrong person for the answer. Maybe you can enlighten me. And I think that that's really important, and a very important part of being mature. And you find that you're drawn to people that say, I don't have the answer, but tell me what you think.
You know, I was driving somewhere, my husband and I, and we didn't have a GPS at the time, and so I go, I know where we're going. I do. So take a left here, take a right there. We ended up at a dead end. And he goes, you sounded so like you knew what you were talking about, okay? So that's that one incident. So then another time we're driving along, and he goes, where are we going? I go, you know what? I don't have that answer. He goes, good answer. Because we need to be able to say, I don't know. I think that's a great answer sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that helps. It lifts the burden off of you not wanting to not seem intelligent or look intelligent,
or
to be perfect, because none of us are.
That's right.
You know, and I think that's very important.
Speaking of perfect, I think that's another issue with women.
You don't have to talk about me, Roberta.
We try to be perfect. We think that we have to be whatever perfect is, right? That there's this image that we have in our brain that says this is what perfection is. And yet,
So
and
why
so
do we
we're-
want to be perfect? Why would we want to be perfect? What are we
I
thinking?
think it's self-important.
well,
Is because we want to feel loved and accepted and
Yeah.
approved of
it
and
goes back to
understood.
that
It goes
other,
right back
it
to
right
that
goes
again.
back.
Yeah.
But I think that's an issue that women try to be ultra perfect, and therefore they almost overdo.
And they're driven.
And then they're
They
driven.
drive.
And then they get depleted.
And then they get fibromyalgia.
And then they
get
don't
chronic
take care
fatigue
of
syndrome.
themselves.
Exactly. All those things come from
For
being
me, I
driven.
get gas, and what can I say?
That's one way to
What
let
can
it
I
out.
say? But you know, I think too, though, I think that women, it's a natural instinct for women. I know men have this, but competition.
Oh, yeah.
Women have competition.
We
I
do
see
too,
that
yeah.
the more open that women have become.
Do you know, my husband said the other day, I was watching one of those anchor ladies on TV, and without listening to what she was saying, I go, why is she wearing that green top? My
There you
husband
go.
says, man, you guys are brutal to each other.
There you go.
I think we look at more women than, we do. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break, come back and hit you up with a hot topic. Please stay with us.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage.